So yeah, we can get started. I'm sure that there will be a couple more people joining later, but I just want to thank everyone for taking the time out of your day to join us today. It's so nice to see a lot of you familiar faces that I haven't seen in a while, so that's really nice. COVID kind of put us off track for the plans that we had for the year, but I'm grateful we have this virtual space that we can connect, and I'm so excited to bring this workshop to you. We've been waiting, wanting to do this for a while, and it didn't make sense to delay it any longer. But I'm hoping that we can do this in person again sometime in the future. And Robin Galinsky will be leading this workshop. Robin is a successful executive communication coach with more than 20 years experience developing and leading communication training programs. And I'm so excited to hear and learn what she has to say. I'm sure I'm going to be applying a lot of the information that I learned today on my professional, but also on my personal life. So without further ado, over to you, Robin.
Thank you so much. And hello, everybody. Nice to meet you all virtually. I've got all your faces in front of me, so that's very important. We've got a packed hour of some skill training and practice, and then we will be meeting again tomorrow for part 2, and part 2 is where we will bring everything together with practice. So you'll have a homework assignment, but I like to call it life work because it really is relevant to life and effective communication. So that's how we've structured this to get the most effectiveness out of your time. And as far as communication skills go, in my opinion, there's no greater place to invest your time and energy, because if you think about any pain, suffering, anxiety that you've ever had in your life, you can almost always trace them right back to a communication breakdown. If anybody disagrees with me, I'm happy to hear it. But you can go ahead and unmute yourself as we get started here too, because this is going to be interactive and engaging. And at some point, if you have a lot of background noise or something, John, who's offered to be our tech go-to guy, he will just mute you if you forget. But otherwise, we want this to be as engaging as possible. And we're supposed to have 16 people here, so they may trickle in. If so, and they miss valuable content, I'm going to ask that whoever has a connection to those people who miss something, you connect with them and bring them up to speed on what they missed, so that we don't slow down our process here, and at the same time they don't miss out, because it's just the way things go. But I see besides John and Lori and Jesse, we have Ashley and Frank, Mitchell, Chris, and Joy. Did I leave anybody else out? I think my screen is, and Christina. Okay, and I'm sure your little faces will get smaller and smaller as more people pop in. So I'm going to ask you to turn your notifications off and close your windows. And how do you say it? Is it Angus?
Yes.
Okay, great. It says Bangus, so I thought I'd just make sure.
Oh, you just call me Brandon.
Oh, Brandon. Okay. Okay, so it's neither one of those. Okay, Brandon, great. So I'm Robin Galinsky. I absolutely love what I do. I want to bring you guys some skills today that are really going to take you to the next level, because really, it's not about who you know or where you went to school as much as it is your communication skills that get you everywhere. It's through your communication skills where you access all of that experience and knowledge and insight that you have and you bring to your organization. So we're going to start off this session with a basic controlling nervousness. And I want to make sure that's relevant to all of you. Would all of you like to know how to control nervousness? Yes? Okay. Anybody not have any problem with that?
I just did a minute ago. So
You
when
just
I
did
was
a minute
talking,
ago. Yes. Okay. So it's a pretty
so I'd
common
like to
problem.
control that.
So I'm going to give you something to do, and I will send you a follow-up link to watch to do this on your own. So again, I'm not going to take a lot of time on this, but this is a foundational thing to controlling how confident you sound when you're speaking. If you're what happens with nervousness is if your voice starts to crack, or your hands start to shake, or you start saying a lot of ums, and then you're aware that other people are seeing those effects, that effect on you, that makes you more nervous. So it's a slippery slope. So then it goes downhill from there, where you then can't think. You cannot organize your thoughts. Why is that? That's because you no longer have access over your frontal lobe once you go into that panic mode, that fight or flight mode, as they say. It's literally neurologically impossible for you to access your frontal lobe, where your executive functioning is, where you organize your thoughts and engage your brain over your mouth, as we say. So the first thing you want to become proficient at is something called the diaphragmatic breath. So if any of you play wind instruments, do yoga, swim, sing in a choir, or sing at all, period, you've probably learned the diaphragmatic breath. And it has to do with your diaphragm. If you all put your hands just below your rib cage, and the beauty of this virtual world is none of us can see what's going on. So push your stomach out as far as you can until it's like an egg or a watermelon. That's the diaphragm muscle, and pull it in as far as you can and push it out. It's a very large muscle. It gets much better with practice, but in order to engage it diaphragmatically, you need to inhale. So you're bringing air in, and as you're bringing air in, your diaphragm goes out. So the air goes to the bottom of your lungs, which is a place that you don't normally put air to when you're breathing thoracically, which is up here. So when I breathe up here, I can see it. When I breathe diaphragmatically, you don't see it. So everybody just take a breath right now, and as you breathe the air in, feel it going into your diaphragm. Feel the diaphragm expanding. So nothing moved up here. Now, if you did that correctly, you'll feel immediate heart rate dropping. This is your key to speaking with confidence, the foundational piece. You want to engage this all the time. It is a physiological override to your nerves. So I'll send you a link so you can practice this at home, because I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but it's very important. Nobody can see you doing it. And 2 or 3 breaths will immediately give you access to the frontal lobe if you've got that deer in the headlights thing and you're starting to feel more and more nervous. Now, nerves aren't such a bad thing. Nerves mean that you care about what you're about to do. You think it's important. The key is you want to be the one in control of it. You don't want it controlling you, right? That's the key here. And that's what all of this is based on, putting you in the seat of control over your communication so you can be effective. And I want to say, John, I think everybody's got access to chat, right? So if
They do, yes.
I mean, you guys are welcome to unmute or raise your hand or throw something in the chat. Otherwise, we're gonna have some things where you have to engage and you have to do some things here, but a little bit in the beginning, it's a little more didactic one way. So the other thing I want to give you as a mindset is something to think about, especially if you're presenting to a group or you're asked to, obviously presenting virtually now, and you're the person, right? You have your 10 minutes or whatever, and you have to present to the group. The thing to think about, besides getting the breath under control, is it's not about you. So a lot of times the thought process with nerves that gets out of our control is saying, I'm so nervous. I'm worried so-and-so is going to be in the room. I think I'm going to mess up. What if they ask me this and I don't know the answer? So everything that I'm talking about right now, I'm focused on myself. The other key to this is to get outside of yourself and think about They don't care about you, just like you guys don't care about me. People only care about themselves, really. They're only thinking about themselves. So if I can't tell you why you should listen to me, then you're not going to listen to me. It's that simple. You know, you want to know why. Why is this beneficial to me? So and believe it or not, this actually helps with nervousness. You get yourself to stop thinking about yourself and how you feel, and you think about, wait a minute, I have 10 valuable minutes of these people's time. What do they want to know? What's going to be most relevant to them? What do they need to hear? And focus on that. And that's going to help you realize it's not about you. All you are is a channel for information, a conduit, if you will. No one's hyper-focused on you. Make sense? Yeah. So if you can get your head in that space, then you're thinking about how you can be helpful to someone as opposed to focused on yourself. There's an irony to that in that people don't realize that it can actually be somewhat self-centered or egotistical to be hyper-focused on yourself, right? But you don't realize you're doing that. You think you're being more worried about what you're going to say and you're more worried about the other person, but you're really not. You're really worried about yourself. So think about that as a mindset to help you. I see we have more people coming in, but I know they're not popping up. Oh, because I have to make this. No, I guess they don't have their video on yet. Okay.
Yeah, I just got in now.
So that's a little bit about controlling nervousness. If you just do those, there's many other things you can do, but if you just do those two things, you're going to be way ahead of the game. Let's talk about this next thing, which is the only two ways in which people communicate. They're called patterns of reasoning. You'll see it on the screen. These patterns are responsible for almost all communication breakdown. And they're more than just the way people communicate. They're also the way somebody is processing information in their brain, the way they're receiving information. So I'm going to describe them to you. And you want to be thinking, well, about where you spend most of your time as a communicator, because that's going to affect how you communicate with others who maybe communicate in the opposite way. All right. So the first one is inductive. An inductive pattern of reasoning is when somebody wants the details first and then the main point. So this is the way they're receiving information. This is the way they're processing information. They're listening for the details. They need the details. And then they think about, okay, now what do the details mean? This is the bottom point. It's called inductive. Inductive. Deductive is the exact opposite. A deductive pattern of reasoning is this person is listening for the bottom line. They have to have the bottom line. They cannot hear those details. They could care less about those details. They're meaningless unless they hear the bottom line first. First thing. And then they may or may not want those details. So when you think about it, I will tell you that everybody communicates in both of these ways. What you want to know is where you live most of the time, because that's the stretch for you to master doing the other way. Why? So that when you're in a conversation with someone and you realize that they're a very deductive or they're being very deductive in that moment, that you're able to switch gears and become deductive. Now, is that going to feel comfortable for you? No, it's not going to feel comfortable for you. You don't prefer it. It's not where you live most of the time. You may not feel like doing it in that moment, but it's going to be effective, amazingly effective. And that other person is going to walk away from that conversation very satisfied with the information you gave. So what happens with these, they can switch mid-conversation as well. And you want to know this because you have to be actively listening for it and what it looks like. So I'll pose it to the group. Please feel free to unmute if you want. If I say to you, what time is lunch? Is that inductive or deductive?
Deductive.
Deductive. Why is that deductive?
The bottom line.
The bottom line. Now, if I say, what time is lunch, to somebody who's very inductive in the moment, and they say, well, so we've got this appointment with the dentist this afternoon, and you know it's going to rain, so it's going to take twice as long to get there. And in order to get there in time, we've got to leave at this time. And I wasn't able to go shopping yesterday because of, I had that thing with work, so we don't really have anything here, which means we're going to have to go out. We're going to have to go get carry out. And then they say, so we should probably have lunch at 11:30 today. So the frustration, you can almost feel it. If I'm a deductive person and I just want to know what time lunch is, I'm ready to maybe punch you in the face. I might not do it, but it might feel like it. So that's how fast that breaks down. Same thing, let's reverse this. An inductive person says, oh gosh, it's so beautiful out. I was at Whole Foods and they had a huge sale on cheese and olives and wine. So I bought a bunch, and I just remembered that we also have that picnic basket we got at the vintage flea market. So I was thinking we should go have a picnic lunch today. What do you think? Now if I go, no, or sure, that'd be great. There's a disconnect, right? It feels like cold. And this is what happens with the breakdown. So the inductive person may perceive the deductive person as being cold, and vice versa. The deductive person may perceive the inductive person as being a time waster. Make sense? Have all of you had this experience?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. This is very important when you're trying to gain credibility, be persuasive, be effective, all of those things. Very important that you're aware of this and you're able to maneuver doing what isn't comfortable for you, but is going to be effective. So you want to practice this all the time and be listening for this. It's very foundational to your success. Now, I'm not talking about people who meander and go off topic with this. That's a different communication ineffectiveness. I'm talking about logical communication here. And if you think about it, what do you do if there's a room full of people? What do you do with a mixed group? When we've got some people who may be thinking very deductively and other people who may be thinking very inductively. Frank's got the answer.
I was just going to say, you need to know your key audience, who you're speaking to, and who's going to hold the weight in that room with either your presentation and or the decisions that need to be made in the future. So you would tailor your conversation in that manner. You wouldn't necessarily want to have your conversation go to the masses.
Well, let's say you wanted to persuade a group of people, and for a fact there's both in the room. And this is the other thing, Frank, to remember too, is that even though I may be a very deductive person, I could switch and all of a sudden become very inductive because it's also situational. We joke around and say everybody's deductive at 4 o'clock on Friday, right? So it's very situational. If you're very deductive, Frank, and I'm your doctor, I'm not going to say you do have cancer and you'll be dead in 3 weeks. Even though you're deductive, I'm going to want to be inductive to that, deliver that information. So what you do is you do an inductive sandwich, right? Because the inductive people, they're not going to hear that bottom line first. They won't even hear it. So you give the bottom line, then you give the details, and then you give the bottom line again, and then everybody gets it. Everybody's happy. Make sense? So what does that look like? Well, the next thing I want to give you is a way to organize your thoughts. And I'm sure that you've all heard, tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them, right? What is that? That's an inductive sandwich, basically. Well, except for we need to add one more thing in here to be effective when we're presenting. This is a presentation skills training. So we are building to a presentation. So I'm going to give you a way to organize your thoughts that's going to have an inductive sandwich, but one other element that's very important. Before I go on, Lori, I just want to check with you. I see a timer at the top. Is there any relevance to that? Because it says 53 minutes.
I think
No,
that's
I don't
just the
think so.
recording.
Okay, I just
Time
want to
that we've
make
been
sure.
recording.
Like, wait a minute, is that counting up or counting down? Have I already gone on that long? I'm like, no way.
We've
Okay.
got 7 minutes.
Okay. I can do it. I just got to talk like this. Okay, so organizing your thoughts. So yes, it will follow that. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. With another piece to it. Let's start with step 1. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Okay, so this is the theme of what you're going to speak about. Now, what is a theme? The theme is eight or so words, 8 to 10 words, 7 to 10 words, one declarative sentence that says what I'm going to speak about. That is your theme. In the beginning of a presentation, if you're giving a more formal presentation or you're in front of the room or you're leading, you also want to tell them in the next 30 minutes, or this will take about 45 minutes with 15 for questions. You want to tell them how long it's going to take and how to handle their questions like we did here today. So I said, chime in with your questions. You can raise your hand. You can go to the chat. You can unmute yourself. This is interactive. So you know how to proceed. You're not wondering, right? So that's step 1. Step 2 is the very important piece we're going to add in. Why should they listen to you? Why should they listen to you? You should be able to answer this question, even if it's a mandatory meeting. Even if you say, everybody on the call knows, they already know why they should listen. You still need to be able to answer this, because in your presentation, when you tell people why they should listen to you, they become engaged because they understand why it's relevant to them. Does anyone remember the step 2 at the beginning of our session here today when I described why you should listen, why this is important? Nobody remembers, or are you too shy? When I said that your communication skills are the key to accessing all of your knowledge, all of your insight, and all of your experience, that your communication skills set is the key to your success. That was the step 2 for these 2 sessions. Why that should be relevant to you. So these part 1 and part 2, it's a couple of sentences. It maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds. For a longer presentation, we're going to be doing 2-minute presentations in here in this training. So you're going to want this to be 15 seconds or so. But focus on the content. So you can roll these in together. It's part of the intro. What I'm going to talk about, why you should listen to me. You may find when you get to, you stumble and fumble with why people should listen to you. You may get to that point and go, I don't know why. And you have a hard time articulating why. That means you may not have the theme right. So you need to go back up to step 1 and look at, did I come up with a good topic? Is that topic good? All right? Very important. Now we move on to step 3, the tell part. This is the meat and potatoes, the body of your presentation. If you can break this down into buckets, the brain likes 3. For some reason, that people have high retention when you can break something down into 3 buckets, but don't force fit something into 3. Just look at your information and say, do I want to start with the past and move to the present? Do I want to start with the present and move to the past? Do I want to start with the highest priority, the lowest priority? Or would I rather start with the middle priority, move to the low priority, and go and end on the high priority? So just look at your information and curate it. Think about it, reflect on it. Don't just smudge it together. A little thought goes a long way. People are amazed oftentimes in coaching sessions where I'll give somebody just a 2-minute timer and have them put a little thought, and it's like a 180. It's a dramatic difference because they just gave focused attention to the order of the information or how the information is segmented. Okay, then we move on to step 4. And this is it. It's a very simple outline. You can use it for everything, every meeting, every presentation, every conversation that's important. Tell them what you told them. But it's not just tell them what you told them. It's what's the most important thing if I forget everything else. Most important thing if I forget everything else. And then what am I supposed to do with it? What's the action that I need to take? Very important. So when you're practicing an important presentation, you really want to focus on that beginning and that end. The content, the subject matter, you probably have down pretty well. But know how you're going to open and know how you're going to wrap it up on time. And then it'll be very memorable. So this 4-step outline is very important. I want to open up right now to any questions that you have, because we're going to put another layer on this, and then I'm going to have you actually create an outline right here in this workshop now, and then you're going to have time to practice in dyads, and then we're going to give you homework for the next session. So right now, any questions so far on any of this?
Well, I have a question. Because well, before COVID, I did an orientation for all our new hires, and I noticed that the more I did it, I would tell them, but then by the end, I would miss telling what I told them, because I'm like, I've done this already. So how do I want to say, keep that up? Because it's kind of like a speech, but at the same time, you say a speech over and over again, you're just going to start missing parts of your speech.
How you do that is you have an outline, and you make sure that you hit that every time, and you remind yourself it's not about you. It's the first time they're hearing this information. And it is a challenge, Brandon. No doubt it is. I mean, I'm somebody who can talk too fast. And I have to remind myself every time, these people have not heard this before, even though you may have said it a million times. They're hearing it for the first time. So it's something called pacing, where you try to get the information, the new information has a pause in between. And it can be, that was a 2-second pause. That was a 3-second pause. Long enough for that to land before you move on to the next, because we think way, way faster than we speak. So just that pausing can help the information land, but you have to remind yourself every time. And make it keep it fresh for yourself too, by trying to keep yourself interested in it. Because if you look like you're not interested in what you're saying, I guarantee you your listeners aren't interested in it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the pause is a good thing, because I realize that the more I do it, if I know like when I'm supposed to be done, and I realize if I'm looking at the time, I ended up rushing through the rest of it. Because I'm like, oh, we have to be done by 11. Let me rush through, because I know what I need to get out before they get their next person in the room. Yeah,
thank you for bringing that up. That is a common thing that people do is, I just want to get through it. The mindset is, I just want to get through it, or I just want to get it done, or but it's about effectiveness, right? So if it's not effective, what good is it? It doesn't make any difference at all. So it's better to be effective than to get through it, or just, rush the information in, because it won't land. So each and every time you want to remind yourself of that. What are you there to do? And I just have to check the time, because I don't want to run over. So okay, so that being said, I want to give you one more thing that you're going to add to your presentation, and then I'm going to break you out so that you can put together I'm going to give you a little time to put together your outline, and then we're going to break you out so you can share with each other and give each other coaching feedback. And then we'll come back together again. Okay. Usually when you speak, almost always, you're trying to persuade somebody to do something, right? Or persuade them to your viewpoint, or something is that action item at the bottom, right? We're trying to be persuasive. So the next thing I want to talk to you about are the 3 modes of persuasion, which are ancient. They're thousands of years old. There's only 3 ways in which you can persuade anybody to do anything. I want you to think about the presentation that you're going to create, adding these modes of persuasion in. I'll explain to you what they are, and I'll tell you how to use them, and then I'll leave it to you to ask any questions before we write an outline, okay? First one is ethos. Ethos has to do with credibility, reputation, integrity, ethics. Ethos. Second one is pathos. Pathos has to do with emotion, feelings. And the third one is logos. Logos is based in data, evidence, facts, statistics. Okay, so what? Who cares? These 3 ways are how you can be persuasive to someone. And what do I mean by that? Usually people have one of these modes of persuasion that's dominant. There are some people who have all 3, some people have 2 out of the 3, but usually one of them's dominant. That's why I say for a good presentation, you want all 3. So an ethos person, if I'm going to be persuasive to an ethos person, I need to speak to reputation, credibility, ethics. So what are they going to care about? An ethos person is somebody who's going to want to know, an ethos person would care about my experience for this workshop. They would want to know what's her title. They may want to know what's her background, what's her education. You know, if I had doctor in front of my name, an ethos person would say, okay, that's, you know, that person's okay, they're good, because they're persuaded by that. Don't confuse it with ego. It's not about ego. It's ethos, okay? Credibility, integrity. Now, pathos and logos, ethos is over here. Pathos and logos are over here. They're almost exact opposite of each other. Pathos is feelings and emotions. So a person who's pathos driven is going to say, yeah, she seems nice, or I like her, or yeah, this feels right, or no, I don't. It just doesn't feel good. I don't like it. So they're driven by emotion. And then logos is going to be facts and data and statistics. So a logos person, if I wanted to win them over, I would want to have the data in there that says effective communicators make 80% more than ineffective communicators. So I'd want to have a real strong logos person would want to know what study was that, what year was it done, how many people were in the study sample, where's the reference for that. So data and statistics are how you persuade them. So a good brand, a good commercial on TV is going to have all 3 of these. Takes a little thinking to use them. Now I'd like to open this up to any questions because it's quite a concise description I gave you of these, and I'm sure that you must have some questions about it. No one?
I did have a question for step 4. Sorry to move a little bit from this. You mentioned that it's the most important thing to take out of the presentation. So would it be similar to the theme? I'm just a little, I guess, a little confused on that. Yeah.
Let me take an example and try to apply this for you all so that you can, that might be more helpful to you. So let's say I'm going to give a talk about I'd like to talk to you in the next 2 minutes about how gardening can enrich your daily life. I'm not a gardener, so this is going to be pure BS. But anyway, so how gardening can enrich your daily life. Now, what did I do right there? I got step 1 and step 2 right there in one concise sentence. Enriching your life is the step 2. So now I want to be persuasive about that. So if I want to do ethos, pathos, and logos, I can give statistics for logos easily. So I can say it's proven that time spent in fresh air and sunshine, people are 52% less likely to get sick. Just go with me. I'm, didn't prepare this in advance. Okay, so, and also gardening allows you to feel really good because the sunshine creates endorphins in your body, as well as just connecting to the energy of the earth makes you feel productive and energizing and energetic. And then think of how good you're going to feel when the neighbors see your beautiful yard. You're going to be able to have great pride in that garden. Okay, so those are 3 very different modes of persuasion, and obviously they could be true or whatever, but you see how if I'm a pathos person, I may not care about the statistics on how my health will improve. I'm going to be listening for the feeling part of it because I resonate with that. That's important to me. And same with an ethos person. They're going to listen to more, I don't really care about how I feel or whatever she said about the statistics, but I would like my yard to look really good in the neighborhood. And I would like people to know that I live at that beautiful house where the garden is. So it needs to be fleshed out more, but does that help? Make sense?
Definitely.
So that's a more robust because you're hitting all 3 of these in the outline. So for our purposes here, I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes. I want you, in order for you to get the best out of this, and by that I mean to really hone your own presentation skills, just pick a subject you already know about in your life. Don't pick something huge or intense, just something very simple. We all have hobbies, we all have interests. And I want you to I'm going to give you 2 minutes right now. I got a timer. And all you're going to do is write a simple outline. So you want your theme. Why should I listen to you? So in other words, how are your listeners going to benefit? And then your points in the body, thinking about ethos, pathos, and logos. And again, we're going to help you with this, so don't worry about it. Just if you get stuck, not a big deal. And then the very end, how do you want to end? What's your most important point for them not to forget? If they forget everything else, what do they have to remember? And what should they do about it? What's the action they need to take? So I just want to do a quick check-in and see if you have any questions about this before I start this 2 minutes. All you need is paper and a pen. You're just going to do a simple outline. None? We're good? Okay. All right. I'm going to start the outline. I'll go off and then I'll be right back on when it ends. Okay. Did anybody hear the bell, or is it only in my ear?
I didn't hear it.
Okay, it was really loud. Okay, so it's amazing how much you can do in 2 minutes, isn't it?
Hmm?
I said it's amazing how much you can do in 2 minutes.
I know, I was just messing.
Well, so some people are still need a little more time, like Mitchell. He's working away. Is everybody still with us? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So what we're going to do next is John is going to break you out into groups of 2. First, I want to check and see, does anybody have any questions on the process, or worried concerns about your theme or ethos, pathos, logos?
I do have a question. Could one reasoning apply to both pathos and ethos? Because I feel like one of mine does, but
It might.
Is that possible?
It might, yeah, and that would be a good thing to talk about in your dyad too. But you know who's going to be the best? So, probably in this group, we have all 3. So, raise your hand just like this because it's easier. Raise your hand if you're an ethos person, if that really resonated with you. Ethos. Okay, so Frank's an ethos, and Laura, you're an ethos. That should be easy for you, and Mitchell. Okay, so who's pathos? Okay, I'll be pathos.
Too.
I'm a little pathos. So, and who's logos? Okay, so we have all 3 in the group. So that's going to be helpful that when we do the second hour tomorrow to have a mixed group, they're going to be able to tell you, yeah, that persuaded me, that affected me. So that'll be a good way to tell. Right now, I'm going to have John break you into groups of 2, and you're going to have 6 minutes. No, groups of 2. Yeah, you need at least 6 minutes. Okay, let me get my timer ready because. All right, here's how it's going to go. You're going to you're going to give your presentation to the other person, but you're going to end at 2 minutes. Now, this means this is your first run through, so where you're going to have a sense of how much you can actually do in 2 minutes. Just talk. You don't have to read anything. You don't have to be perfect. So you want to get a feel for the time. This is part of the exercise too, where you're learning how much you can accomplish in a set amount of time, how much you can do in 2 minutes. So landing on time is important. So you're going to end after 2 minutes, even if you're only on step 3, you're going to have to end, because then you're going to get 1 minute for feedback. And the person who's giving feedback, we want you to give good coaching feedback. Don't say that was great. Okay, that's not helpful. Be very specific. Like, I didn't hear a step 2. Can you tell me what your step 2 was again? Why should I listen to you? Or I'm not sure your theme is covering the whole thing. Or have you thought about adding this in because you ran out of, you were 1 minute, 40 seconds. You have 20 more seconds left. So you should probably talk about this too. Give them specifics and get right to business. There's no time for chit chat. Then you switch. The other person has 2 minutes and 1 minute for feedback. So you really need to keep an eye on the time and get right to it, okay? Any questions? I'm not going to pop in because I find it to be more disruptive as much as I like to do it. I think it interrupts your flow and we're tight for time. So if you don't have any questions, and Chris, did you join us late?
Nope, I just had my camera off briefly.
Oh, okay, good. Excellent. Okay, so if you don't, and John, does it work out neatly into groups of 2 now, or we have an odd number?
It is, yes. We're all set.
Okay,
I'm gonna
great.
Put everyone in right now.
Great. All right.
See you all in 6 minutes.
We'll see you all in 6 minutes. Do we still have everyone, or are they still coming back?
I think we lost a couple.
They're still coming back.
Well, we should let them come back. So we might run 2 minutes over, you guys. I'm sorry. but I don't want to speak until, there we are. Wonderful. Technology, we love it, don't we? Okay, so homework. When I call it homework, like I said, it's really life work. And that's not it. Sorry. You think that this would all be so smooth, but no, it's not. You're going to prepare this 2-minute presentation. Hopefully you're happy with your topic. I'm sorry, it won't let me. I don't know why. I'm having trouble. You're going to prepare a 2-minute presentation. You're going to apply ethos, pathos, and logos. And tomorrow when we get together, you're going to actually deliver it to the group. So what I'm also going to send you is a link for the diaphragmatic breathing, so that will help you, and some best practices for presenting virtually, which have to do with lighting, framing yourself, and you want to lift this up on something, usually a shoebox, or a shoebox and a book work. I have 2 cigar boxes, but you see when it's down, I don't want to see your ceiling. I don't want to see up your nose. I want you to be able to be eye level with the camera. So think about that for tomorrow. But basically that's it. Tomorrow's going to be each person taking a turn, and we're going to give them good solid feedback, but you're going to learn stuff from each other. So that's the benefit of doing it as a group. When you watch somebody else do it, you get ideas, good ideas of way to organize the information or the way to deliver the information. And at the same time, you're able to learn something maybe that you do that you didn't realize you did by watching others. So it's not just your situation that you're going to learn from. In other words, it'll be everyone's presentation. But again, I will send I'm going to send you a handout with the 4-step outline filled out, the definitions of ethos, pathos, and logos, along with the link for diaphragmatic breathing and the best practices for virtually presenting. Now, is there any questions at all about that? Any concerns, any questions, any challenges?
Can you also send your slides that you shared on the
Yeah,
screen?
sure. No problem. They're pretty, as you know, brief, because why is that? Anybody want to know why? Because we don't have time to go into visual aids training. Visual aids are just aids. They should not distract from what you're saying. And if I put a bunch of text up there, you're going to be reading it, not listening to what I'm saying. So you always want the focus on you. If you'd like to use a visual aid tomorrow and practice with that, I welcome you to. Just make sure it feels doable for you and not overwhelming. Also, you can reach me via email, which I'll have Janessa put my email in there. So if you have any questions that you want to ask of me, it's robin@speechimprovement.com, but I'll put it in there in case you have anything come up. I'm assuming you'll all be here too, and you won't be busy tomorrow at 4, right, Lori?
I know.
Don't miss the opportunity, because it's huge. Really, it is. This
No,
is
I'm fine. I have back-to-back calls, but you're good.
Yeah, it's really going to help you a lot to practice in this nice, safe environment, as opposed to a really important thing that you have on your calendar.
And then if Delano, I know you joined late. This is Frank. If you want any help with this, you can contact me. I don't know if my email address is available, but I know you missed most of the meeting.
Where's Delano? I don't see a Delano.
It's in my bottom right window.
Not showing up for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. And I just sent you a LinkedIn connection, so
Yeah,
my contact
thank you.
information is there.
Great.
Thank you for volunteering that. Yeah, so yes, if there are, and Lori, I don't know if there are people that still want to participate and somebody wants to bring them up to speed, awesome. Maybe they can even watch the recording, or however you want to handle it. I would say if you can give me a check-in on numbers, well, or we can figure it out at the time, because that's, with 1 hour and 2-minute presentations with feedback, we really have to keep an eye on the time.
Right. Yeah, I do have one more person who messaged me and said that they will be joining tomorrow. So I'll let them know what we went through and inform them. But yeah.
Okay, great, wonderful. Yeah, it won't be, if somebody just joins without, they won't be able to, it won't be
Right.
meaningful, but they could watch, but but if you bring them up to speed or they watch the recording, that'll work. Otherwise, I'm going to end it here because we want to keep you on time. And unless there's any other questions, I'd say message me privately at this point. And thank you all for your time and attention. I know it's hard being tethered to the computer. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. So we have Delano with us, who's jumped in late yesterday. The rest of you, I think, were there the whole time yesterday, right? Okay, so this is, again, just for practice. I'm going to give you a few best practices that we didn't get to. We ran out of time yesterday, but I did email you in the slides, which is if you notice the lighting, this is something, I don't expect you to fix it right now, but the lighting is very important. So some of us are better lit than others. So this is something if you can use natural lighting, great. If you can get an LED light, great. Delano's probably got the best lighting. He's glowing. So we all want to glow, but I don't know, he's got twilight going on over there. So getting that, and then you want to be shoulders and framed. You want a little space above your head. You all look pretty well framed. So this looks corrected, and you do that by lifting the computer up so that camera's eye level. When you present, now this is another thing, it feels a little awkward, but it's very effective. When you present, I'm looking at the camera now. My listeners are going to feel more as though I'm connected to them and I'm looking at them, even though I'm not. So you can change to gallery view. I think it's gallery view. And well, if you stretch them across the top, sometimes that helps because it's more in your peripheral vision, but depending on how many little videos we have, it doesn't always work. And then your background. So ideally, I usually put a plant back there that adds a little pathos. So you want the logos and pathos that can also be in your background. The ethos, maybe your degrees on the wall, that's your ethos. So think about your background. If you have control over it, it does make a difference. And obviously you've got if you're on Zoom all the time with informal meetings, it's not such a big deal. But if you're giving a job interview or you're giving a formal presentation, you definitely want to think about moving your computer, even if you're in an ironing board is actually great for putting, for you to be able to stand and use the computer, because you'll have more energy when you present if you can stand. So if it's a high stakes situation, think about those things. For now, you're all pretty well lit and framed. I know that's a bit, I know I'm saying pretty well lit as if you all smoked pot or something. I guess I can't use that word. You're all well lighted, shall we say? So I would love to begin, and you're going to have 2 minutes, and we're looking for you stepping through the 4-step outline. So hitting all 4 of those steps. The rest of us who aren't presenting, we are going to be listening for a good opening so that we know how long we're going to be listening to you. And now they're all 2 minutes, but you want to let your listener know how long you're going to take, how to handle the questions, save your questions for the end, or go ahead and chime in. For the purposes of this exercise, we're going to say hold questions to the end because it's 2 minutes. And then how well you curated your content, you come within the time. And then at the end, did you zip it up? Do we know what the most important thing is in the action? Okay. The other thing we're going to be listening for is ethos, pathos, and logos. Did you include that in your presentation? And it's always good. In the comedy world, we say you take the bullet when you go first. I guess that's not very nice, but it's always best to go first and get it out of the way. And I'd always prefer a volunteer. That being said, who would love to go first? All right, Mitchell. And I
Take
am
off my
going to,
hat. Let's get really professional.
what'd you say?
So I'm gonna take off my hat and get professional.
There you go. You
Didn't get my
didn't
hat
make
this
me
morning.
say it, you know. I've got a timer set here for you. Oh, nice hair.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You're hiding it under your hat.
I still got it. I'm very happy about it.
Count your blessings. All right, so we're all putting on our good coaching feedback listening hats, and I guess we can mute ourselves. I'll start the timer. And Mitchell, do you have a way to time yourself?
I can do a stopwatch on my phone. That's right next to me.
That's probably a good idea if everybody does
Okay.
that, because I could hold the phone up, but that's just going to be weird.
Nope, I got it right here. You just say go.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Hey everyone, I'm Mitch Bono. I'm here today because I want your company to be a happier, healthier, and more connected place post-quarantine. Everybody's hurting right now. Mentally, financially, we're all searching for quick and inexpensive solutions. The simplest and most cost-efficient way to improve company morale is by joining recreational sports leagues as an organization. Recreational sports will directly improve physical and mental wellness, increase collaboration, and drive community and company culture. First and foremost, intramural sports is the easiest way to promote healthy habits and exercise. Even if you enjoy being the goalie in soccer or catcher in softball, like myself, you'll still be out there getting your steps in and helping reverse the COVID-19. Physical activity is also a known stress reliever. Corona has brought increased stress levels into all of our lives, and studies show stressful employees are often underperforming employees. Second, forming teams breaks down company barriers, especially for large companies where employees are often split or separate from one another. Intramural sports allows you to meet and interact with coworkers you may not even know existed. I actually met my wife playing intramural sports. Well, the girl I dated before my wife, but still, intramural sports are proven to improve ability to work with a diverse group and understand different backgrounds and cultures. Finally, intramural sports makes people feel connected to the organization. Rather than employees competing against one another, they are now competing as a team. A leading sports psychologist says being a part of a team increases motivation, communication, and a sense of identity while decreasing loneliness and depression. Real connections are often made outside of the office. So even if you think you stink at sports, no one stinks at disco night themed bowling. Exposure is great when real relationships are happening outside the bar, and everyone's great at going to the bar and laughing with new friends. So reach out to Social Boston Sports or Simply Social Sports and enjoy all the benefits recreational sports has to offer. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much for going first.
Yeah.
All right, so this is where we want to give Mitchell some great feedback. It's important to give people not only what you can do to polish it and improve it, but what worked really well for him. So he doesn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because a lot of times we don't know what we're already doing that's working well.
Yeah, the humor was great. And I think the statistics are pretty cool. If you were talking to somebody that was a facilities manager or operations person that want to get people involved, there's some clear benefits there for them.
Yeah, good job spelling out those benefits. Did you all hear clear step 2 in there? Yep.
To join, basically, so and I think what Mitch, you did really great is repeat that at the end. I think step 2, right? It's basically the action.
Step 2 is why we should listen to him.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think it was to get the benefits, right, of intramural sports. And yeah, so.
He did a nice job of just weaving it into his intro. So he,
right.
As opposed to, here's what we're going to talk about, and here's why it's important to you. You can do that. You can ask a rhetorical question. And what's relevant about that? And then you could say that is your step 2. That's just your artistic application to the presentation. But he did have a good juicy step 2 in there. So we wanted to listen to him. The one thing you missed in the intro was in the next 2 minutes, or I'm only going to take 2 minutes of your time. The reason why that's really important is people relax when they know a finite number. So oftentimes in our company, we will use that, the coaches will use it with each other. They'll say, I just need 60 seconds of your time. And then the person goes, okay, because they give you their undivided attention for 60 seconds. Now we're pretty good at knowing how much info we can pack into 60 seconds. That's something that takes practice. So that's why timing yourself and knowing, you know, how much you can say. And some people are more verbose and they have a lot of filler words and have trouble being succinct. But that's just a minor thing you missed in the beginning. You have what we call vocal variety. You have a dynamic way of speaking, Mitchell, which is great. So that means a couple of things. His volume changes, his rate of speaking changes, he inflects certain words, which is a great way to emphasize, like I just emphasize a thematic word or something that's really important. That's important. If you get a chance to go again, Mitchell, I'm going to suggest that you ditch reading it. So we only want notes and outline. So it's 2 minutes. You want your main points, but just a bare bones outline. And we want to feel like you're speaking right to us. And your great humor that you put in there and examples that you put in there, they get lost when you're reading. So you're going to get more impact if you're looking at us when you say those things. And that's another thing when you're preparing. When you say your most important statements, you want to be engaged like I am right now, looking right at the camera. If it's a very important statement, you don't want to be looking down, reading it like this, and then looking up afterwards. You're going to lose them. So you can look down, but don't do it on your most impactful statements, okay? Anything else you guys want to add? For Mitchell, you want to self-assess? How did you feel?
Went pretty well. It's tough though when you're looking at the clock counting down and you're trying to get it all in. So like I tripped it myself over the end trying to get it all in, and I probably should have just, you know, accepted I was probably going to go 5 or 6 seconds long and finish smoothly rather than kind of speeding myself up to try to fit it in on time.
Good point. You know what I think we'll do? I'll keep the time and I'll go like this when you have 30 seconds left. When you have 30 seconds left, that's enough time to start to bring it up. Now by the way, and that's another thing, that if you have more time to practice, you want to make sure that you're making sure that you're on time, because sometimes people are in the executives I coach and biotech people and things like that, it's very tight. They have 7 minutes or something like that with investors, and that's it. So you have to practice more when it's that rigid. And it actually is much harder to speak in a short period of time than it is a long period of time. So that was good. Thank you for doing that. So now it's easier for somebody else to go. Who would like to go next? Thank you, John. So nice of you to offer.
Sure thing. Not a problem.
I like your
All
attitude.
right. So, I gotta start the timer.
Oh, I can do it for you. And I'll flag you with 30 seconds left.
Okay, that works. Hi, everyone. So I'm here today to tell you why you should use an experienced real estate agent when looking for a new home. It'll only take a few minutes, so please hold all questions until the end. So looking for a house can be stressful and time consuming, not to mention it's one of the biggest financial decisions you'll make during your life. Having an experienced real estate agent at your side during this will make the process easier. So over 44% of buyers reported that they felt nervous during the process, and 1 in 3 buyers actually admitted to crying at one point. An experienced realtor will be able to figure out what kind of home you're looking for and suggest different neighborhoods that offer the best value. They're also able to guide you through the bidding stage, which can include complex legal terms and house inspections. Overall, an experienced agent will make the home buying process easier and ensure your money is well spent. So that was quick.
No way, that was 1 minute. All right, I'm gonna have you go again. I'm going to have you close it so you're not looking at it and reading it, because I know you can do it.
I don't know if I'll be able to do that.
You can do it.
Give me
You can do it.
I'll go after everybody.
Okay, you've got a very nice speaking voice. It's like radio voice. It's excellent. And what you want to do, what's going to take you to the next level, John, is not reading it. It's just a conversation. So in this situation, you don't have to be perfect and get it right. What's your theme? Tell me what your theme is without reading it, just in one sentence.
How using an experienced real estate agent will help you in your home buying process.
Great. So that's not only your theme, but it's also your step 2, right? It's going to help you, and it's going to make it, you could make it more robust by saying it's going to make it less stressful and save time. So you could add a couple of benefits in there. Okay, that's your theme and your step 2. And your content, can you give 3 reasons, and you could inject a little storytelling in there. I don't care if you make it up. For example, a couple who blah, 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 30 seconds, 60 seconds storytelling in there. That can be pathos. And then you can give another example where you've got the logos, the financial thing. Then you go back to your most important point. You know this stuff inside now. I'm confident that you can do it. And I'm fine if you want to wait and go again, but use your full 2 minutes, right? And just look right into the camera, because what you're missing, so you guys, this is all very nuanced, right? You're already good communicators. You wouldn't be where you are if you didn't have fundamentally good communication skills. We're trying to take it to another level. So where you have that impact, where you can be persuasive and memorable. So you're losing that when you read it because it comes across more robotic. So you're losing the humor, you're losing the authenticity, and you know this stuff. So you're just overthinking it. All right, so that's my thoughts for you, because I would use the full 2 minutes. So when both you and Mitchell, give yourself just a basic outline that you're looking at, that you glance at, even if you need to. But if you know what your 3 main points are and what your theme is, you don't even need notes for this.
Got it. I'll review it right now. Thanks.
Cool. All right, who wants to go next? It's not so bad. Oh, Lori, thank you. Okay, whenever you're ready.
I'll go, and I do get nervous, so.
Well, so remember, it's go to the breath, the diaphragmatic breath.
Right. I have been practicing that all day almost.
Oh, good. It's a great way to breathe all the time. And just be bounce out of it. Like if you don't say a word that you wanted to say, or you just don't worry about it. Just bounce out of it. No worries.
Yeah, I think that is where I get stuck a lot. Is that I do have an idea of what I want to say, and sometimes I end up not going that direction, and I get stuck almost.
That's okay, because sometimes you come up with something even better, because you're feeling, you're feeling the group that you're with, and you might say it differently intuitively. So just trust yourself, and it'll be fine. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Awesome. All right, so we can start. Hi, my name is Lorena, and I'll be taking the next 2 minutes to talk to you about a topic that's very important for everyone's health and well-being, which is wearing sunscreen every day. Now, it might seem a little superficial and negligible at first, but wearing sunscreen reduces chances of skin cancer by 50%. And that's important because 1 in 5 Americans will get skin cancer in their lifetime. And not only does that take a health toll on a person, but also an emotional toll. And then another important aspect of wearing a sunscreen is that 90% of aging happens because of unprotected exposure to the sun. And I know it's not the most important thing, but appearances do matter, and especially when it comes to first impression, you do want to look your best, feel your best, feel confident about yourself. So reducing that risk of sun damage is very important. So just by applying sunscreen every day, you will improve your health, but also emotional well-being. Thank you.
Okay, you still had 30 seconds left?
Oh, awesome. Did I go too fast?
No, I don't think so. Your rate was good. So let's give Lori some feedback. What's she doing that's working well?
Definitely hit pathos with emotions. It's kind of like a fear of, coming down with cancer, skin cancer, something like that.
Oh, so she's at the pathos and she had the logos. She did, so you did a good job. Yeah, with that description. Did she follow the 4-step outline? Did you hear the 4 steps?
I was going to say she did a great job setting it up at the intro in the beginning.
Yep. You did a great job with eye contact. Did you guys, John and Mitchell and everybody, but she took that coaching point and looked at the camera and she just glanced down a couple of times. Did you see the difference in how that comes across? It helps her ethos as the speaker. Yeah, so that was very effective, and probably you didn't want to, but did it help you, Lori, to do that?
It did in terms of looking down. I mean, glancing. Or,
Yeah, sometimes
yeah,
looking
no,
at the camera, you not have the eye contact of everybody either, so you don't, it can make you less nervous.
I do try to look at people when I'm presenting, but it does get difficult. And I did want to glance down just to make sure that I had the facts right, or that I was touching every point that I needed to make. But
Yeah, it was appropriate though. It didn't feel like a disconnect.
Yeah.
That's the part I want to emphasize for you. What you want to work on are your vocalized pauses. We call them vocalized pauses, and that's when you say ah or Now, if you say an ah or an here or there, nobody notices. But if you say more often or there's a pattern like I say before every sentence. So it's important to wear sunscreen because it reduces 50% of cancer. So that's what I would work on. So we call it a vocalized pause. All you want to do is take the vocal out of it. That was a 2-second pause. That was a 3-second pause. Your listeners will not notice that. And that's an enormous amount of time for you to collect your thoughts. So the best thing for you to do, Lori, is record yourself either on a conference call or anytime and listen back and just listen for your vocalized pauses, your ums, and count them. That one exercise, you self-correct 80% of them. I don't know why, but it seems like when people count their own ums and listen back to them, they self-correct. So that'll help you because they get in your way. You had great content. So that'll help you. You come across very polished and knowledgeable. Anybody else want to add anything that they think is working well or that a nuanced thing she can improve on? You guys are a shy group. Okay. Well, who wants to go next? We got Delano, Christina, Ashley. Great. Thank you.
All righty. Let's see if I've learned from the other people, but probably we'll see. Okay. So I'm very envious of all of you who have been able to focus on anything other than the coronavirus. But when we were asked to do this, and I've panicked in that 2 minutes where we had to come up with something to do our lecture on, I immediately was like, all I can think about now is ordering wipes. So that is what mine is on. So you're timing it right now? Okay. Hi, I'm Ashley, and I'm here for the next 2 minutes to just try to get you guys to understand the importance of ordering a large bulk order of wipes for the school by the end of the week. due to market demand and the high volume that we need to purchase in order to make the university safe, it's really time sensitive. So I really want to get to the point. You know, we owe it to the community to make sure that they're returning to a safe environment, a clean campus, putting some sort of preventative measure that's returning staff and students can use when they're in our spaces. Some families are sending their kids to school for the first time, sending them away from home. We really owe it to them to make sure that this is a welcoming environment. You know, the staff and faculty have had to bear a pretty difficult spring and summer, a lot of uncertainty. So being able to bring wipes to the classroom, to their common spaces, will help ensure that they have a little bit of more confidence when they come back. The wipes that we found follow the CDC protocol, so they have the right amount of alcohol content and all the other critical guidelines that the CDC has proposed. We picked a recognizable brand, so the community will see the names on the dispensers and know that that's, they'll trust that we've picked the right brand. We also were able to get a really good deal because we're getting such a bulk discount on them. So we'll be able to receive them by fall, and they're going to throw in some personalized dispensers with our logo on them. So that can help remind the community that we're all in this together. I know I went through that quickly, but if we are able to establish this by this Friday, I think we're going to be a great place to reopen the campus for fall.
Great, right on time. It just went off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there you go.
Look at that. You can't judge me for
Look
that.
at
I did
that.
it, guys. Look.
Okay, so what's working well for Ashley? Gonna make me do the
I
talking?
think.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, Ashley, you did a great job with mentioning those, the ethos, pathos, and logos, making sure that we touch on those, like the ethical side and also emotional side, kind of like taking care of the community and all that. I think that was great. And opening and closing as well. I liked it overall. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, you did a good job of following the outline. I would say in the end, increase your volume at the end so that it doesn't go off, because you want to wrap it up like, and it was great. The statement was great. It just needed that oomph at the end. You come across as very authentic, which is, you know, you have a nice, friendly, approachable. You, like Lori, and maybe you guys, if you know each other, could help each other. You have the same thing with the and in a pattern, and then before each point. So if you get that out, it's going to improve 1,000%. That one thing. You seem to be credible and knew your content. I felt engaged with you. Didn't see a lot of glancing down, just enough to get your main points. Your data points. Oh, I know. This is one for all of you in case this. So when you're presenting, Ashley, and actually if you can square your shoulders in the center of your screen and think about putting your feet flat on the floor. This is what you guys want to stay away from.
Yeah, I noticed it in my periphery of myself. Like I was like, look at me moving around, but I'm like trying to present.
Yes, so
Yeah,
that can
I
take
did
away
notice
from your ethos. It can make you appear very young too. That hair twirling can also make you seem unsure yourself or young. There's other little things like tentative language, which you didn't have a lot of. I'm just saying generally to the group. You want to take the tentative language out of your presentation. That's sort of, maybe, kind of, anything like that. And up talk. Some of you have a little bit of up talk. That's when you end a regular sentence like a question. It goes up at the end. And it usually implies that you're unsure of yourself or you're seeking agreement. John, are you talking to us or someone else? I saw your lips moving. Oh, he's doing something. I said, I saw your lips moving. I didn't know if you were trying to say something to us.
I was drinking water.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Other than that, yeah, it was good. Good job. We only have 2 more, and then we may have a little bit of time left over for, well, circle back to John for sure, John. You're going to be on deck. Christina and Delano, who would like to go next?
I can. You want to go?
Flip a coin.
Got it.
He wants to go on mute. No.
Christina.
You want to go, Delano?
Christina can go. She did.
Oh, you're such a gentleman.
I know.
Oh, okay, Christina. Would you like to go then?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm here today to present to you a report on the monthly budget as well as the schedule. So overall, we get a report on the budget and schedule, and I hope in 2 minutes to give you a detailed dive into where we are tracking with budget forecasts and a handful of milestones to be tracking. So to start off with the schedule, we are on track. We're tracking very closely for the landmark review, which is coming up next week, and the permit that should be in hand by the end of July. If all goes as planned, we'll be on track for schedule. So these are the critical path items. In terms of the budget and soft costs or hard costs, we are all on track. In terms of soft costs, we are trying to finalize a VE exercise, and we're waiting to hear back from the Zoom lock numbers, which we will hopefully be getting in the next 2 weeks. So to reiterate, the schedule is on track with 2 critical path items of landmark permitting and building permit, and the budget is on track with a VE exercise to be finalized. That's all I have.
You have 30 seconds left. What would be my action item? What should I do with this information?
Okay, for an action item, please stay tuned for a weekly update that I will send out on both the VE items for the budget and the schedule milestones for permitting.
Okay. Whoops, let me cancel that. It's going to go off. All right, let's give Christina some feedback. How do you feel about it?
I honestly had trouble finding a good topic. I give a lot of reports on budgets and schedules, so that's just what I chose. But I didn't use any real concrete content that I was reporting on, so I think that made it a little challenging. I should have probably picked something else.
Oh, well, it felt like you organized it. Did everybody hear all 4 steps in the outline? Do we hear a clear step 2? All right, I'm going to say yes, we did hear a clear step 2. And I like the way you said the next 2 minutes. I was clear on what you were going to tell me in the next 2 minutes. So that works well. You have a certain ethos about you. Well, you had a very serious topic, right, with a lot of information. So you had you look like you're about to crack up in the beginning, which is the smile your smile is helpful, and that goes across the board for all of you. There's actually a physiological effect that it has on you of relaxation and confidence when you smile. So smiling is good. Christina, your smile is a great smile, and I would definitely use it. It was random though. It didn't have any alignment with what you were saying. So just as a visual aid,
Right. I think it was a nervousness smile.
Yeah, I think so, which is fine. The key is we want to put you in the seat of control, right? So it's all about being self-aware so you can have control. So smiling in the beginning is great. But if you're going to talk about how many people have died in your company from COVID, you know, then maybe not. So it's related to the content somewhat, but it's a very powerful thing to do. Very powerful. And you all have great smiles, so you want to use it. John has a little bit of a smirk the whole time, so he's got like, he's doing it now. He's got, which is great because you expect him to say something funny almost, but it has a way of making you feel approachable to other people. It's inviting, so it's not a big toothy grin, but it's like a just a curl, and it makes people feel like they can approach you. So I'm giving you these little nuanced things just so you can be more aware of how you can use them in building rapport and relationships and being more effective. So you did a good job also of not reading it, even though it was very data heavy, which is commendable. I think that's not such an easy thing to do. You want to think about all of you, and Christine was the last one, but the volume, when you get to the end of that sentence, make sure it doesn't just fizzle out, especially if it's an important sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll make it seem like not important if you do that. Or you'll look just nervous, even though you're not. So that's just a really nuanced thing, just to bring that volume up a little bit at the end. Punch it up, especially when you wrap up at the end. Very important. But all in all, I thought you did a good job of following the outline, which is what we're here. We're here to learn that. We're learning also a little bit about delivery skills at the same time, because there's content and then there's delivery, and they go together.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. How do you feel, Delano? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
Cool. So I'll be taking the next 2 minutes to highlight some myths about proper nutrition alongside some tips to maintaining a happy and healthy lifestyle. So this information is pretty universal and it applies to you and your loved ones. So here are the few myths. Myth number 1, it is cutting back on carbs will make you lose weight. And this is not true because carbohydrates are an extremely important part of a healthy lifestyle and diet. And carbs or carbohydrates are actually, they come in 2 forms, simple and complex. Simple carbs can be found in candy, cakes, and they generally lack vital, nutrients such as fiber, minerals, and other vitamins. And complex carbs, on the other hand, they can be found in potatoes, fruits, legumes such as lentils, beans, chickpeas, and they hold important nutrients that will maintain your healthy life and diet itself. So the second myth is healthy foods are more expensive. While this might seem, unhealthy foods might seem cost effective in the short term, in general, consuming abundant amounts of processed foods, such as like fast foods, you're more likely to pay more in medical bills and time compared to someone who varies their palate with whole food and a plant-based diet itself. And my tip to the audience is just try not to believe everything you read on the internet, because superfoods don't exist. That's not a thing. They just need a headline and a selling point. So just try to do your own research and, to the best of your ability, improve your health step by step. And that's it. That's it.
Okay. Great. So how do you feel about it?
I feel okay.
Okay,
I did
good.
an okay job, I think.
Yeah, so let's hear from everybody else. How did you hear the 4 steps?
I think I did. Yeah. I think it was. I mean, and this is probably because you weren't here for yesterday, but it is good to repeat. And I don't know if I missed it, but to repeat basically the first step, and is basically like a similar to the 4th step, which is wrapping up the idea and the most important part. But I think you did a good job with step 3, especially where you line up all the importance or the main points of the topic. So I think that was good.
I agree with you, Lori. I think your step 4 could have been a little more robust. So think about your most important thing. If I forget everything else, and then what do you want? What should I do about it? I think you had an action step in there. It just wasn't. Can you say your last statement again?
It was to do your own research and improve your health step by step.
Okay, so that's an
generally
action.
it just-
Yeah, so you want to make sure that you have also in there the most important thing if they forget everything else. Also, a same thing for you, Delano, and I think this is probably just a function of nerves, but just know this about yourself. If you're preparing something important for work, practice, because that ending, you want to end with a bang. It's the last thing they're going to remember. So having that volume there and that last statement, if you're going to memorize anything, I don't recommend memorizing because it can feel inauthentic. But if you are going to memorize something, memorize your opening statement and your last statement. And doing that will give you a lot of confidence because you know where you're going to land. Like you're going to stick the landing. Think about gymnasts. You know, it's all about sticking that landing. And that's what people remember. Not all the backflips and whatever. They remember, oh, she tripped. Oh, she fell on her butt, you know, whatever. So in the beginning, be aware of this too, Delano. You were moving back and forth.
I did
You
notice
got
that.
it under control. Yeah.
Yeah. When I realized, I was like, okay, let me stop that.
Yep. One of the things that's working for you is you have great facial expressions. You have an animated, oh, we got a person coming. You're on that, John, right? It's blocking.
Got him.
Oh, you got it? Okay. It went right over Delano's face, so I couldn't ignore it. You have nice facial expressions. Your face is animated. Some people I have to really coach they have a very poker face, you know, and they're a tough read. But you have animation going. For the content, you could have more of a smile going. We're very serious. Yeah, so you know, I think that more of a smile would make it more effective. Let's see, what else did I write? Yeah, I think those are a couple of nuanced things that one to be aware of what's already working for you, and another one is, and better eye contact without the notes is going to make it more effective too. Here's a way that you guys can coach yourselves too when you're practicing. Video yourselves, and if you don't want to look at your face, it's helpful to put a piece of paper up and just look at the camera. Video yourself, and when you watch it back, turn the sound off and just evaluate what are you communicating non-verbally. Then turn the video off and just listen and say, am I using good words? Where's my inflection, my volume? Am I making my point? Do I have vocalized pauses? Don't beat yourself up. You can just listen for one or two things and then listen again for the other two things. And then do it a second time. And you'll see like 1,000% improvement, just self-coaching yourself that way. It doesn't take as long as you think. And if you have to give an hour-long presentation, you can still boil it down to 2 minutes. Like I said, it's easy to talk longer. So you can take that 1 hour presentation and say, what if I only had 2 minutes? That's going to cut right down to the most important thing. And then when you have the hour to do it, you're going to be able to expand out. So just as you're practicing and trying to help yourself, I get a chat message of it. Oh, we lost
I think Mitchell had to hop off.
So before we run out of time, my goodness, we would not want John to miss his opportunity to get his full 2 minutes.
We had Frank join. I don't know if Frank can.
Where is he? Frank?
There he is.
Oh, nice, John. Okay.
Saved by the bell.
Yeah, uh-huh.
You're on mute, Frank.
Frank?
I'm more than okay. I speak for a living. I'm on calls all day, and I actually had 2 emergencies, so I apologize for being late.
That's okay. We're prepared to hear your 2-minute presentation.
Oh, boy. Okay.
You can do it.
No, I'm not worried about it. You ready?
I'll time you. And just so you know, Frank, I'll just hold my hand up when there's 30 seconds left.
Okay, perfect.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Thank you and good afternoon. Today I wanted to speak to one of our most critical standards within the engineering discipline, water safety. Now more than ever, we must have laser focus on this important life safety requirement. As our hotels are experiencing low occupancies, we want to ensure our water safety systems do not become stagnant. These conditions increase the risk of Legionella dramatically. In order to combat the risk of Legionella, we must have a solid water safety procedure in place to mitigate risk and protect what matters most: our guests, our associates, our community, and our brand. The COVID-19 virus has been detected in drinking water and conventional water treatment methods that use filtration and disinfection, such as those in most municipal drinking water systems, should remove or inactivate the virus that causes COVID-19. However, as our hotels sit with little or no occupancy, water with no flow becomes stagnant, and stagnant water leads to Legionella. We have created COVID-19 transcendent work orders, in addition to our water safety procedures for hotels with low or closed occupancy that fits within our Marriott water safety standards. These standards or procedures are available on the engineering SharePoint site, and every DOE and GM has access to that link. Granted, there are other expectations and priorities, such as maintaining fire life safety systems and indoor air quality. However, from an engineering perspective, this is a top priority during this time. What our ask of the AVPs, I know you have a lot on your plate, but there is one thing we need from an engineering piece during this crisis: to ensure water safety remains a priority. We do not want to trade one pandemic for another. Thank you for your time.
Okay, you only went a few seconds over.
Nice.
Okay, so let's just hit the 4th step. What did you hear? Did Frank hit all 4 steps?
Definitely, they were
I think
very
you did, yeah.
well laid out, and yeah, it was really nice.
Yep, definitely hit all 4 steps with ethos, pathos, and logos was all in there. Somebody's got somebody in the background.
I think so.
Did you intentionally put all EPL in there, Frank? I think I heard them, but
I did.
I'm listening for so many things. So you weren't here earlier, but what you're missing, what will make this better for you is not reading it.
Okay.
Looking right into the camera, and it's going to be more authentic.
Yeah, I tried to position it up to where I was almost right at the camera, but
So you could cheat better? Yeah,
absolutely. I write everything up.
I did the same thing.
You the man,
yeah,
John.
and he got busted. So, so you want to definitely, because that's you're being persuasive here, and it's not going to be persuasive if I'm looking down. It also will sound robotic when you're reading.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of opportunity in your piece and your information for emphasis. We call those color words, when you take a word and you really punch it up. So I see more opportunity there for color words and more emphasis and more passion in your delivery, which may just, if I had the time, made you do it again, you may just do without the paper, I suspect, because you said you do a lot of speaking.
Yeah.
So that's an important correction for you that I think I would make, so you'd be more persuasive. But otherwise, yeah, your words were efficient. You packed a lot into that 2 minutes. It's amazing, isn't it? How much you can actually do in 2 minutes. You can cover a lot of ground. So
I did skip some of my content as well in there.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So you're one of those people who probably goes over a lot. So you want to get a little better about being a curator, being more succinct. And then you're going to, people will always ask you questions. You can ask them if they've got extra time, if they want to stay longer and go for that deeper dive. But if you're on the hook for a set amount of time, you want to comply with that so that you keep your ethos.
I agree.
It's always good to know what our challenges are, because then we can control them. So we have 5 minutes left. John, do you want to
I'll give it a go.
give it a whirl? Let's let it rip.
My notes are put away, so it's.
Take us out with a bang. You can do
all right.
it. Make it up.
All right, exactly.
All right.
Hi, everyone. My name is John, and I'm here today to tell you why you should use an experienced real estate agent when you're looking for a home. It'll only take about 2 minutes, and I'll be happy to take any questions after I'm done. Using an experienced real estate agent is important because the buying process and search process is often confusing, complex, and full of some legal issues that you can run into. We've seen a report that says about 44% of buyers have experienced some anxiety and stress during the buying process, and 1 in 3 buyers have actually admitted to crying at some point during their home search. The experienced real estate agent will be able to take into consideration what you're looking for in a home and be able to suggest some neighborhoods that offer a good price value and that are close to your place of work. Once you are, want to put an offer in on a home, you'll be able to be guided through the legal process and find a home that works for you. An inexperienced real estate agent, won't have encountered this as many times and might end up costing you some money. So overall, it's important to use an experienced real estate agent because they will make sure you invest your money wisely, have a easier search process, and make you feel proud of the home that you purchased.
Okay, that wasn't so bad, was it? You still had 30 seconds left.
Okay.
I was wondering if you were testing them because I didn't see the hand go up.
Yeah. So you and Frank are maybe opposites. You might be a more deductive person, and Frank may be more inductive. And so you guys could, if you know each other, you could help each other because those are opposite issues, right? You're not using enough time.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So it was much more authentic. Whoops, see, there's your timer. It was much more authentic without the reading.
Okay.
So there's rate and pace when you speak. Rate has to do with the speed of your words. You can speed them up really fast and you can slow them down to make your point. You want variety when you use rate and using it where it's appropriate to make a point. Then there's something called pacing, and pacing has to do with the speed at which I introduce ideas, and you can think of those as bullet points. So John, your focus needs to be on the pacing, and that has to do with when it rolls every idea or bullet item, if you will, rolls right into the next. So what you want to do is, that was a 2-second pause. That was a 3-second pause. That's all you need in between each one of those bullet items. It's just enough time for it to
separate them.
Yes.
Yep.
And then the other thing that you can do, because remember, the listener, it's the first time they're hearing this. You're also trying to be persuasive with what you're presenting. You can also signal to me that that's the end of that bullet by using volume at the end of it, some inflection. So it's really important that you use a real estate agent so that you, it's really important that you use a real estate agent so you don't have a litigious situation on your hands. 1, 2. Now, the other reason that's really important, and that's going to be huge for you.
Okay.
And everyone, it applies to everyone, but it's a nuanced thing that's going to help that information really land with that listener.
No, that does make sense because I definitely do talk pretty fast, obviously, and that's good to know.
Yeah, and you probably would have used up, if you had done that, you would have used up maybe another 10, 15 seconds. So remember, it's not about getting through it or packing. It's part of you as a speaker is designing it so that it's the right amount of content for that time in a way that you can do the pacing and that's what makes it effective, the pacing and the inflection and the vocal variety and being a dynamic speaker. Because when it's like this, well, that's the one you listen to when you're trying to fall asleep at night.
Right. It's a run-on sentence the whole time, basically. Yeah.
Right. It's just tune it
That's
out.
helpful.
Okay, so people are popping off. I know we're at the end. I'd say I'm available if you have any questions. You can email me, robin@speechimprovement.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I always like to connect. So my name, Robin Galinsky, on LinkedIn. If I can ever make a connection for you that you need, I know times are crazy right now and a lot of the deck's being reshuffled. So happy to help in any way. I'm also available as a resource at any time. Lori, thank you for having me. It was a lovely group.
Thank you so much.
And
this was great. Very helpful.
Thank you, Robin.
Attention. And John, thank you for doing all the tech.
Thank you all.
And going twice. You're awesome.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Appreciate it. Bye.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.